Hey everybody, and welcome back to episode 4 of the Curse of Crystal Cove. And this week's episode is episode 4, Revenge of the Man Crab. The cold open is of a guy and a girl setting up a volleyball net on a beach. And these two characters are a reoccurring couple, and they're super funny. They're just like stereotypical, like teenager, they're so cringe, whatever, I don't know. But basically, you find out they're setting up for some volleyball tournament, and then she's like, oh, I'm so bored and I'm sweaty. I literally hate manual labor. And I'm like, okay, girl, same. I get that. To an extent. Because I am somebody that I love cleaning. Cleaning, it always just makes me feel better. And if I can have a clean personal space, like nothing outside of my own space necessarily bothers me. Like I'm not like, I have to go clean that right now, but like I love having a nice clean space. I love just being able to, like, I make my bed every day. I have a dedicated cleaning day once a week, and cleaning is just, I love it so much. Like organization, do not get me started on organization. I love organization. Like if you ask any of my friends, anytime that we are out, I'm always like, oh my god, I want these little containers. Like, little containers are amazing. I literally love them so much. I love organizing. I don't know. Also, apologies for the lighting for the visual video listeners. Forgot to bring the lights home that I use from work. So I just have my one light. I have a couple lights, and then the dwindling, that's the word, light from outside. But hopefully this is still works. But no, literally, I love organizing so much. Anytime I can organize little things, like a lot of the times if I'm bored or if I'm just like, I need to relax, I clean. And that sounds like the opposite, but it makes me feel better. I don't know. I think it's more of like a recent thing. Like when I was younger, I was super messy. But now, I love cleaning all the time. Anyways, the girl mentions that she wants some of this like Trickles Trickwid, and I was like, what the heck is that? And this guy is like, that's literally just water. And she was like, no, it's a 100% diet moisture, or whatever it is. And he was like, it's literally water. So like, there's some random brand that is important to know. And then the man crab attacks. And she disappears. And then she gets dragged under the sand. And he's like, haha, you're so funny. Crab ends up coming back. And looks like he's about to attack this other guy. And then it cuts. Good little cold opening. And then first scene is the gang at the beach tournament, and then Scooby and Shaggy are like, hey, we want food. So Scooby, Shaggy, and Velma go to the clam cabin where he's not a captain. He's Skipper. He makes that very clear. Skipper has some good clam themed and tasting foods. Before they get there, Shaggy is like, hey, don't mention anything about his nose. He's very sensitive about it. And then, what's the first thing that Velma does? Mention the guy's nose. Bro. I feel like she was just really doing it to push Shaggy's buttons, and then she like immediately regretted it because she was like, okay, this man is going to go on for like 10 minutes about how he lost his nose to a clam and he's going to go find it and bring revenge to this clam. Like, why she gotta disrespect him like that? And then, see, I love all these characters, but I'm like, this is why their relationship is not working out, So Shaggy was about to order the clam ice cream, and Velma was like, what did we say about junk food? You need to stop eating junk food. And honestly, I just don't like that as a character thing, because it's just like, yeah, you know, I don't know how long necessarily they've been dating, but it's just like, even if you are dating that long, you shouldn't be like, hey, you can't have this. Like, what did we say? You said you're not gonna have that. But like, that's just like very controlling to me. Again, I know I think of this stuff like way too deep, more than it really needs to be, but I'm out here. It's just kind of like that. This is what I do. This is why I have an entire podcast based off Scooby-Doo. So if you don't think I'm gonna deep dive and literally like take what these relationships are portraying to me, then you're wrong. I don't think anything I just said made sense, actually. But anyways, if like I was at that time, like I paused and, you know, I wrote all my notes down and I was like, if my boyfriend, and now if he was like, you cannot have any more snackies, I'd be like, you're wrong. I get it. Like, you know, maybe he was like, if he was like, hey, you know, maybe you shouldn't eat an entire bag of Doritos today, then I'd be like, okay, maybe that's a good idea. But if he was like, you can, what did we say? You cannot have any more snacks. I would be like, sorry. But I know he would never do that to me. Love you. But I just don't think that's a good dynamic, you know? Like, to have it pretty early in your relationship when you aren't necessarily openly public relationship, I just don't think that's a great start. But Shaggy not ordering something doesn't stop Scooby. Scooby's like, what the heck? Obviously I'm gonna still order. But then Daphne brings up that she's allergic to seafood, and I think it's because Fred was like, hey, do you want any of this? And Daphne was like, do you not remember what seafood did to me at my sister's wedding? So you know, obviously that is some sort of important note that the writers were like, we need to put this in here that she's allergic to seafood. Okay. So they find out that the skipper had to move his cabin, and he was all upset about that. So they go to watch the game, and Fred was talking to Daphne, and he goes, they're so beautiful. And Daphne was like, oh, the girls? Because you find it's a women's volleyball tournament. And he goes, no, the nets. Like, those are some, like, top-tier quality nets. And she was like, oh. Okay, I think she was kind of like, glad that you're not hitting on the women, but also, like, maybe you shouldn't be admiring nets. Anyways, so they're sitting watching for a little bit, and then the man crab comes out of nowhere. So my notes are, like, super vague, and a lot of the times I don't write in full sentences, because I'm like, why would I take up a whole line if I can, like, somehow decipher what I'm talking about, or what I need to talk about? So I would sometimes just write a single word, and I just wrote chased, and I was like, what? Who? What chased? And I meant the man crab. The man crab chased everybody. And there was a fun little visual gag that everybody got, like, thrown up into the air, and then they all came down, and the volleyball players were all, like, holding a net, and they all landed in it, and they all landed like a little like a circus, like cheerleaders. That's the word. And then Angel just starts whipping out CDs like they're freaking ninja stars. Like, literally, she is so iconic. I love her so much. She always does the coolest things, and I'm like, man, I wish I was you. She's just so cool. She's just, without even trying, man. I love her so much. And then the man crab starts to wreck the volleyball nets, and then he steals one of the contestants or players, whatever it is. And then everybody was like trying to run and get her, and then Fred goes, we cannot let the man crab get away. And Shaggy goes, sure we can just stand right here. Shaggy is literally comedy gold, I would say, honestly. He's just he's right. He's like, yeah, I mean, obviously it is an option that we can let it get away. Man crab disappears. Do not know where he went. It cuts to the sheriff and everything being there, and then they get to meet the owner of Trickle's Trickwood, the iconic 100% diet moisturizer creator. The sheriff is like taking statements or whatever, and Daphne is like, you have to shut this down so people are not getting attacked by this man crab. And this guy goes, yeah, no, I can stay open. Do you not know how business works? And then the sheriff was like, yep, sorry, can't do anything. That is not part of my job. So then they all make it clear that they're suspicious that Skipper might be the man crab because of them having to like move his shack or whatever. So they decide that they're going to make a trap and that Daphne is going to be bait and she's going to pretend to be a contestant. And Fred is like, yeah, you would be perfect bait. Like, what man crab wouldn't want to drag you under the sand? And she was like, oh, at first, you know, she was very much so like, oh my God, that's so sweet. And then she was like, sort of. Again, I love their relationship. You know, it's like slowly progressing. We're getting there. We're getting somewhere. Okay, you know. So then they decide to set up the trap, and then Velma go gets Daphne, so because she was getting ready or whatever. And then they have a little girl time, like the girls' room. Velma asks, do guys like it when you tell them what to do? And then Daphne immediately is just like, yeah, of course. There was this one time that when we were away for a couple of days, and when we came back, we had left my dad there, and we found him half naked on the floor sucking on an unopened can of soup. Like, it's so out of pocket, you know? Okay. I mean, yeah, I guess maybe they do. I don't know. A lot of the men in the Scooby-Doo world are very himbo-esque, you know, I would say. So, yeah, you know, it's probably better that there is a woman telling them what to do. I've never understood that kind of... Okay, you know, I'm a different breed. I know. I am. I'm a very different person than most of the people that I grew up around, or like in my generation, I guess. I'm not trying to be like, I'm not like other girls, but like I am. I'm a different breed. Got a lot of different moral values, different sexuality, different attraction than a lot of people. So it's harder for me to imagine certain stuff, but like I never understood the being openly aggressive towards somebody that you like. Because when I was younger, whenever I liked somebody, I would always joke with them. Like, I'd be mean to them. I'd be like, yeah, I mean, like, who would even want you here? And then, you know, obviously it'd be like, we'd start like laughing and be like, you know, I'm just kidding sort of thing. But I've never understood you should do this. Because if somebody did that to me, I'd be like, no. Like, what? How about I don't do that? I don't know, it's super strange to me. I don't know if I'm going to keep any of that in. Because I don't know, is it weird? Is it weird that I talk about myself on my own podcast? Anyways, and then the man crab takes Daphne. It cuts to Scooby and Shaggy, and Scooby telling Shaggy that he should, you know, go get the clam stuff. Like, you know, I won't tell Velma. Like, I heard you say something about Velma earlier. Like, go get yourself a little snack, you know? And then Shaggy ends up setting up the trap that they created. So, obviously, man crab cannot get trapped at the moment. Daphne gets taken, obviously, because... who's gonna stop this giant man crab? Fred is freaking out. He was like digging in the sand trying to get her back. So eventually, like, you know, they change places. Fred keeps digging in the sand, is like trying to get Daphne back, and then it changes locations. They're at Angel's studio. They're at the like radio station, and he's still like digging at the floor. And then Shaggy is all sad and is like, Scooby, bring me more snacks, please. And he just downs his whole plate of a bunch of random food. Fred starts, you know, like, he's so lost, and he's like, why isn't anybody making a plan? And Velma was like, yeah, that's usually you, Fred. And he said, you're right, what's wrong with me? So clearly, I think he's starting to realize that he's having some sort of feelings for Daphne, because why would he be acting like this? And then the doorbell rings, and there's a Mr. E package on the step, and then it has an article with one person in the picture ripped out, and it's about kids that disappeared exploring the Crystal Cove caverns. Say that 3 times fast. I cannot. And then, but they also got an 8-track, and Fred tries to play it on the record player, and he's like, why isn't it working? And Angel's like, it's an 8-track, that's not what it goes on. And Mr. E tells them to go research missing kids in Crystal Cove. So they go to the library, and Fred goes, there's a book. Daphne read a book once. And then he said something about, like, oh, there's a chair. Daphne loved chairs. Like, and then Velma's like, okay, Fred, you gotta stop right now, bud. Well, you're not helping. So she is researching. She sees some stuff about the foundation of Trickle's Trickwood. Trickwood. I was close. And then she also sees that this was at the time that the kids in the article went missing, that Skipper got angry before about moving cabin and said that he was gonna like do anything to move it back or whatever. Oh, and then also while she's reading this, she finds out that the caverns go under the beach as well. So they're like, all right, let's go there. So they go to the caverns and they find stairs up to the surface. So they're like, okay, so why would a man crab need stairs? Because they're like clearly recently built. Fred was freaking out again. He's still like constantly in a panic, and he just starts simping for Daphne. He says something very sweet about Daphne, and he's like, oh my god, did I say that out loud? So then he goes, did I say that out loud? And then you hear Freddie, and then he goes, oh my god, now I'm hearing her voices too. And then Velma's like, nope, that's real, I also hear her voice. So yay, they found everybody. And then they go unlock the cage that they're in, and Fred gets distracted, and he's like, oh, what a nice cage. So he's back to normal. He's glad the Daphne's is safe, but then he's like, that's a nice cage. So obviously the crab attacks, because this is his lair of some sort, and they all get chased around, and he for some reason locks onto Scooby and Shaggy, and Scooby and Shaggy are like, do you smell that? That smells like the clam cabin, so we should probably follow that smell to get out of here. So that's what they do. And Scooby and Shaggy lead him back to the trap, and they unmask him. And guess who it is? Bud Sheldon. Who? Who's that? He's the original creator of Trickle's Trickwood. Even though he's not, because he didn't make water. But no, he was like, I came up with my idea. I was trying to find like a good name. He called it like Bud's Bloosh or something like that. And he said, yeah, I'm still working on the name. But then Bestie over there, Trickwood, whatever his last name is, I don't know which one it is. He came in and swooped it away from me. So Velma was like, yeah, I was suspicious from the beginning because Daphne wasn't allergic, like Daphne wasn't reacting to the crab being around because she's allergic to seafood, so she knew it wasn't real. And then you realize that he planted other things to help frame Skipper, so if anybody got suspicious or was looking around, like it would look like it was him. Daphne asks him, hey, why didn't you just sue him, because that's like a really easy thing that you could have done. And he was like, lawyers take forever. And that's valid. He gets arrested, and they go back to Angel's place, and Daphne was like, oh, Fred, I heard that you were like kind of worried, while I was gone and whatever. And he was like, yeah, but don't worry, I will never have feelings again. And Daphne says, we'll see. So she asks if she like missed anything while she was gone, and then they show her the article, and she's like, that's the picture of the kids from the locket I found. And then it ends on Angel giving like a suspicious look to camera, and you're like, what is she doing? Because she was listening in on them, so super interesting. But yeah, that's the end of the episode. I have a little Scooby snack for you, even though I kind of already did Fred the other week when I told you about him being written with having autism in mind. Now, I'm going to tell you more about just like the character. So his full name is Frederick. Freddie, spelled several different ways, Jones. And it's kind of crazy, but in the research that I did, Frank Welker has been voicing him since the beginning. And I knew that he was. I couldn't remember if there was any like couple adult ones. So like not Pup Named Scooby-Doo. Obviously, they're not going to have the same voice actors for that. Because that's weird. That wouldn't make sense. But he's literally been Fred in every single rendition that I have found. And now he does the voice for Scooby usually as well. Except the only one that he has not voiced Fred in is the Scoob movie that came out in 2020. Because that was Zac Efron, I believe. Which is super strange. But Frank Welker still did the voice for Scooby. I don't know. Super weird. But I just think that's really cool to be literally the only Fred, whereas Shaggy has had a couple different ones. He's had like three or four. Daphne and Velma have had a lot of different ones. Even from the beginning, they were switched in and out. It was just kind of easier, but more recently it's been solid for everybody. But yeah, so I just thought that was a fun little tidbit. I hope that everybody has a good day, night, evening, afternoon, whenever you see this, and I will see you guys in the next episode.